Some of you lot must be thinking, rah, this brother must think he's Drake with the back-to-back recordings and that. Listen, normally, I like to let my videos marinate for a little bit, just settle for 2, 3 days before I fling out the next one. But obviously, this is important news. Alpine have updated their shareholders on the health of the business and everything that's going on with the business. And obviously, me being a big Alpine 4 advocate and early stage investor, I obviously wanted to share some information with you on why I feel this is a really great time to be an Alpine investor. I think it's a great time to still get into the stock if you aren't in the stock or if you sold it early and you're thinking about getting back in, because this is a long-term hold business. This isn't one of those flash in the pan OTC stocks. You're about to see a stock join the Nasdaq in the next couple of weeks, and from there on in, it's going to be continuously growing. So I obviously wanted to let you know about the process, what's been going on, what's going to be happening, so you guys can basically stay in the loop. So yeah, give the channel a subscribe if you are new to the channel. If you're watching this, you don't know who I am, subscribe to the channel. There's going to be a lot more stock market videos coming up, talking about Alpine 4 and a whole bunch of other stocks as well. Hit like on the video and let's get straight into this. Listen, in order to uplist to the Nasdaq, I know a lot of people have been thinking, why is it taking so long? It is quite a long process. There's 4 regulatory bodies that Alpine 4 have to basically go through. 1 being the Nasdaq in itself, 2 being the state of Delaware, 3 being FINRA, and 4 being the SEC. And effectively what they need to do is effectuate the share increase with the state of Delaware, which has been done. And then once that's approved, they need to notify Nasdaq and FINRA, which will effectively sign that off. Once that is done, they will then get a date. And the expectation is that date will come within the next couple of weeks. And so probably within the next 2 to 3 weeks, maybe a bit more, we will see Alpine join the Nasdaq, which I think is obviously going to be a great time. Now, there's obviously a lot of benefits of Alpine joining the Nasdaq. The first of which I want to talk to you about first, because some people might see this as a boring thing, but I personally, as someone in this business, feel like it's an extremely important thing. It's corporate governance. The whole point of being on the Nasdaq is there's a lot more visibility, there's a lot more transparency. Pink sheet stocks and OTC stocks do have a renowned reputation of being potentially dodgy. And so when you tell someone you're investing in a penny stock or in an OTC stock, they look at it with a bit of disdain to the side of their eye, thinking actually this stock isn't really a safe thing. Like what are you actually investing in? But going to the Nasdaq means it has a bit of credibility. It means that they've got to meet certain corporate governance requirements in terms of their financials, in terms of announcing information, and I think that's only going to benefit you and me as shareholders. Now, in terms of some of the other bigger benefits which will affect the share price, the main thing is about institutional investors. You're going to see now banks being able to invest in Alpine 4. You're going to see insurance companies, pension funds, hedge funds, endowments, mutual funds, index and ETFs. There's going to be a lot more institutional money that can flow into the stock. And this is the reason why the authorized shares had to happen, which I'm going to get onto a little bit later on in this video. But that is going to be significantly important. They've also mentioned about appointing 5 independent board members who will be demographically representative of shareholders, which complies not only with Nasdaq's 2021 requirements, but also Nasdaq's 2023 requirements. So they're really ahead of the game in that front, and you should see more announcements coming up into the future. Now, obviously, you guys would have seen the S3 filing, which was shared probably a few weeks ago. And in this S3 filing, it basically talked about, raising $170 million in capital, which will in effect basically be around 195 million outstanding shares, which is what it's going to basically take it up to. Now, the reason why they're obviously doing this is, 1, is going to help them have a lower cost of capital. By having a bigger war chest, it means that, the interest that they're paying on capital at the moment can effectively be reduced, because they've obviously got more. They're able to make more acquisitions, which is obviously going to be important in terms of increasing their revenue on an annual basis. They're able to introduce things like ESOP, which is employee stock ownership plan. So, having employees that have joined the business and then getting a stake in the business, which will naturally increase the stability and obviously the growth of the share price as well. And all of this stuff will help stabilize and drive up value of the share price. So I know when people hear authorized share offerings, they start to get a bit worried that, it's a bit of a share dilution, and it is a share dilution for existing investors. But the way I like to see it is it's short-term pain for long-term gain. You might see a dip. You may not see a dip depending on how people react to it, but you probably might see a dip for the next couple of weeks. And when it lists onto the Nasdaq, maybe for a couple of weeks more. But if you are thinking longer term, it's honestly not really an issue, and it probably actually is a buying opportunity if you actually want to look at potentially doing that. Even the management team have basically said that they have not sold a single share since obviously forming the company. So they want to grow with us, they want to grow with the stock, and that's obviously a very confidence boosting sign, I would say, that the management team have not actually sold any shares. Now, in terms of their revenues, their expectation is that revenues will exceed 70 million in the year 2021. Obviously this year they landed between 33.5 to 35 million in revenue. And so obviously that's a significant amount of growth, and they're expecting around a 20% compounded annual growth. Now, if they hit that, then within 5 years, you're talking year 5, they'll have 200 million in revenue, and cumulatively over the 5 years, you're talking 500 million in revenue. And that excludes some of the potential acquisitions that they obviously don't know about, which will be happening next year, the year after, the year after. So you're potentially talking in the next 3 to 5 years, a company that is going to generate over $1 billion in revenue, which is absolutely significant. And this is the reason why I always try and base my price targets off the fundamentals. A lot of people ask me for price targets on a whole number of stocks, and I have to tell you candidly or transparently whether or not a price target is actually genuine, or I can actually base it on something. With Alpine 4, I can genuinely base price targets on something quite meaningful. At the moment, that there's 125,000 shares outstanding. The share price is around $7 at the moment, and their revenues is around 35 million. If we take the upper range, you're looking at a price to sales of 25. If you maintain a price to sales ratio of 25 with 195 million shares outstanding and revenues of 200 million in 5 years, then you're talking a share price of $25. And that's, on the basis of a price to sales ratio maintaining, which that as the valuations of these companies increase, the valuations tend to, get more further away from the fundamentals. So, it won't stay at 25. It'll probably go to 35 or 45 or 50. And if it does do that, then actually you're probably talking about a $30 to $50 share price in the next 3 to 5 years. So this stock has a long way to go. I do feel confident that it can actually get to be a $20 stock this year in 2021. And then obviously going forward into the future, it will naturally increase. And they even spoke potentially about this potentially being a dividend stock at some stage in the future. So some of you dividend investors can get some retirement money out of this stock. So yeah, listen, honestly, Alpine 4, I think, is a great investment. I'm really excited to see, what they do with Value, what they do with Impossible Aerospace. Value at the moment is, going to, I think it's Equatorial Guinea or somewhere in the next 3 weeks, trying to break the world record in terms of their unmanned flight on their G1 aircraft, which is going to be interesting to see. QCA, which is one of their subsidiaries, which you can see if we look at their new website. I mean, they call it their new website. I do think they need to kind of spruce it up a tiny bit better, but you know what, we can let them off. It's not their main focus. Quality Circuit Assembly, one of their companies, just booked 1.2 million last quarter in revenue, and this is a company that, apparently there's rumors that they do some work for Tesla, which would be really interesting to learn more about as well. And yeah, they're going to be continuously doing more acquisitions and effectively growing this business. So yeah, I'm very, very bullish, as you can probably tell, on this business. I think it's a great opportunity. It's a great stock. And, it'll be very, very exciting to see what happens with this in the future. Hopefully you found this video useful. If you did, like, comment, subscribe. There definitely will be more Alpine 4 news updates coming in the future as material things drop. Preemarket, I'm out.